I'm here in Hollywood, California to talk to one of my favorite sound designers, Scott Gershon of Sound-Deluxe. So let's head inside and see what he's all about. We're here with Scott Gershon at Sound-Deluxe, and you've had a big role in the development of Sound-Deluxe as a company.
Yeah, I've been at the company now for about 24 years, and I think I was its first sound designer.
So you've done just about everything from video games and sound design for feature film. What is your favorite project that you've worked on?
You know, I don't think I have a favorite. I think because, you know, I've done everything from Pocahontas and Flubber to Natural Born Killers to Underworld and Blade and Hellboy to American Beauty. So I think what my favorite thing is that I have the ability to be diversified, and a lot of the projects that I've worked on have been a huge range. So I don't get bored that easy. I feel very fortunate that I haven't been pigeonholed. So I can do the big, really creatures and weapons, and then I can do, it reminds me of being a musician. I could do heavy metal, and then I could play jazz. And it's nice to be able to do both.
Now, you brought up the fact that you're a musician. So I got to ask the question, do you feel that musicians tend to make better sound designers or just different types of sound designers?
The definition of music is organized noise. And in that case, what I do, I feel is music. Because I create a soundtrack, and what I try to do, and as a sound supervisor, my role is to look at the whole soundtrack, dialogue, music, and effects, and to work with the director to come up with a complete sonic landscape that pushes the buttons of the viewer based on what it is. If we're doing Pocahontas and Flubber, I need the giggle factor. I need kids to be able to walk out of the theater making noises with their mouths and just be giggle, you know, just have fun. If I'm doing something more edgier, then I need people to think more. It's the psychology of audio. What sounds, what tones, what tools are available to me as a sound designer and a sound supervisor to create the emotional peaks and valleys that we're trying to do in storytelling.
Let me ask you this. What do you do when you're working on a project and there's a difference of opinion between you and the director? And obviously you're the professional in the world of sound, but yet it's his baby. But at the same time, it's also your baby because you're working on the sound end of it. What do you do? How do you approach that?
Every director I work with has a very different style. It's kind of like when you work with a producer or work with an artist, and everyone has a different style and what they're trying to create. What I love about working with different directors is that it's not just the same thing. And it's not just about me. Creating a film or even creating a video game is a team effort. If I feel that a director or producer or a picture cutter is going to a place that they can hurt themselves, I'll let them know. Ultimately, the director is the captain of the ship. But most directors I work with want your input. I mean, when I worked with Oliver Stone early on, first thing I said is, hey, what do you want in this scene? And he said to me, if I knew what I wanted, I don't need you. What I need you to do is tell me what I need. I don't ask my clients what do they want. I usually ask them what they don't want. It's much easier.
Give you guidelines to play in, right?
Yeah, because they're, I mean, I'm the audio expert, but what I find is if you tell somebody what don't they like, they can make you an infinite amount of pages of things they don't like. But when you ask somebody, well, what do you like? What do you want? Then they go, oh, I don't know. As a sound supervisor, my goal is to help guide him, to show him the options that are available, to show him the choices. And then I kind of recommend how I would like to take it. And he'd go, I like that, but could we try this? Or let's explore this. And then we explore like any good piece of art. It's not all strategically figured out before you go in. It grows, it develops. It's like giving birth to a kid.
You've been doing this for a long time. And I mean that in a good way, in that you're a seasoned professional, and a lot of guys that are coming up now are looking at your work and they're kind of studying the way that you design. So my question is, who are your influences? Who are the guys that kind of mentored you on the screen?
You know, when I first started, I mean, the two films that stood out for me that got me into thinking this way probably was Ben Burtt with Star Wars and Walter Murch for Apocalypse Now. And they took different approaches because there's two kinds of sound design, in my opinion. Actually, lots of, but the way I think of it, one bit of sound design is really cool sounds. You know, it's creating TIE fighters and really unique sounds. The other form of sound design is really the use of sounds, taking normal sounds. Another good film I love was Delicatessen. How do you take normal sounds and use them in interesting ways? So it's not necessarily about the sound, but it's how they're used. And when you put the two together, it makes for some amazing things. Overall, I think today now, I'm inspired by everybody. I mean, I see so many great, I don't care if you're in the top of your game or at the bottom of your game, everybody comes at it at a different, from a different approach. And the big thing I tell young sound designers and young editors and sound effects people is to listen. Start listening. You know, listen to rain. Is it rain on glass? Is it go slow dripping rain? Listen to the way people walk. Listen to the gait of their steps. And you can tell, are they just really tense and they're walking like this, or they're just kind of lackadaisical? Everything has a rhythm, and rhythm has an emotion. And when you look at how they play into it, it all connects. And I find the biggest thing, I don't think I hear any better, but I listen better. And I hear things and I'm going, wait a minute. Because I think through life, because life is quite noisy, we tend to tune things out. We stop listening to things. And what we have to then start doing is relearning how to listen again. And listen to the little things. Like, go outside, stop. Listen to the car by. Listen to the bird. Listen to the conversations of people walking by. Listen to all sorts of things. And then what you'll end up doing, if you decide to get into this line of work, is you start recording it. And you become an audio photographer.
Can you think of a challenge that you faced in a project that was just so daunting, and you looked at it and you had no idea it was like the dragon to slay? What was that? What was that project? What was that challenge, and how did you overcome it?
You know, I think every project has a set of challenges. I don't go into any project that's easy because I try to figure out what I could bring new to the game. One of the interesting projects that I did recently is, or about 2 years ago, was Hellboy 2. And a good friend of mine, Guillermo del Toro, was directing. And he was in a situation where he needed me in London. And he had used another audio team, but they needed help. So I flew. He calls me up and says, Scott, I need you. Can you fly out tomorrow? I said no, but I could do it in 4 days. Well, 3 months later, we were there for 3 months in London. And usually in a film like this, I would probably be on it for 30 weeks. This film, we had several weeks to prep. And a film of this magnitude was quite challenging, and understanding a team in London that had already been in place, as well as bringing my own team, and really forging a creative process together to get him what he wanted. And I think what was difficult was, we were working from 9 in the morning to 2 in the morning every day, and out of 3 months we had like 2 days off. So it became climbing Mount Everest. It was hard creatively. We had lots of mixed stages going. The CG was coming in at the end. And I think it was a lot of fun. It was kind of high adrenaline for 3 months. And you weren't sure if this could even happen. And we made it. And we made it, and it sounded really good. And we got a lot of accolades for the sound. And we were happy just to get the project done. And it's great because, Guillermo is such an amazing talent visually and his directing, and I'm a huge fan of his. And to come in, it was like, what can you do and how fast can you do it? And what quality can you do it? And I brought in a whole bunch of people. It was a massive team. And we came in, and at the end, we're like, wow, this worked. It sounded pretty good. So we were happy. Every movie has its challenges, and every game has its challenges. A lot of it is trying to figure out what you can come up with something new, trying to challenge yourself to see what hasn't been seen or to hear what hasn't been heard, and to try to bring something interesting to the game.
This is called a slate, and what we do in the